trigonometric function, right? According to the blueprint, this chapter contains 6 marks, right? Okay. And as you see from the name of the chapter, there are 3 words which are inverse, trigonometric, and function. So trigonometric, just because we have to deal with the 6 trigonometric functions we already studied in the 11th science. Okay, so let's first talk about function. So we also studied in 11th science about relation and function, right? So before initiating the chapter, we have to discuss the difference between a relation and a function. Okay, so for that, let's take 2 examples. So in first example, I will take y greater than x plus 1, and in second example, I will take y equals x plus 1, right? And before that, we all know about the 3 words which are domain, codomain, and range, right? So domain is the set of values of x from which we have to put the values of x. Range, whatever answer we'll get, that answer must be belongs to range, and range either subset or equals to codomain, right? So this is the basic idea of these 3 statements. So relation and function depends on these 3 words: domain, codomain, and range, right? But let us take some ideal condition for the simple understanding of relation and function. If you put x equals 1, so in this case we'll get y greater than 2, and in this case we'll get y equals 2, right? So number of pairs, so I take x equals 1 from the domain. So number of pairs in this equation are 1 3, 1 4, 1 5 up to infinite. Whereas for this condition there is only one pair, which is 1 and 2. So now for any single value of the domain, from the domain, you will get more than one answers, then this is known as a relation. Whereas for single value of x, if you get only one answer, then this condition can be known as a function, right? There are also some rules based on domain and codomain, that for function we need to get every answer for each and every value of domain, right? And every answer must be belongs to the codomain. Whereas in relation there is no condition from the domain. It's not necessary that for every value of domain you will get answer, right? So there are some rules also, but the basic idea about relation and function is this, that for single value of domain you will get more than one answers, whereas in function for single value you will get a single answer. Okay, then after, graphically also we can consider the difference between relation and function. So how we can consider that? So let me plot the graphs of 2 curves, right? Let me say this is the first graph and this is the second graph, let's say. Okay, now any perpendicular line to the x-axis, any perpendicular line to the x-axis will intersect the graph of function at a unique point. Let's say this is the graph, this is the line which is perpendicular to x-axis. So this line will intersect the graph of function at one point only. So if you take any number of perpendicular lines, those all lines will intersect the graph of the function at a unique point. Whereas in relation, any perpendicular line will intersect the graph of relation in more than 2 points, right? So we can clearly say that this is the graph of function and this can be the graph of relation, right? So this is the basic idea about relation and function. Now let's talk about function particularly, and in function we have to discuss about one function and many to one function. One function and many to one function. right? These are the terms which are very important to study the inverse trigonometric function, right? These are some basic I can say guidelines to understand the inverse trigonometric function, right? That's why I'm going to discuss this all. So 1 function. So what is the meaning of 1 function? Let's say two examples. Let's say fx equals x square and let's say fx equals x cube, right? If you put x equals 1 in both the functions, we'll get, let's say here, gx. So f of 1 is 1 and g of 1 is also 1. But if I put x equals minus 1, then f of minus 1 is also 1 and g of minus 1 is answer g of minus 1. So now just be careful. For two different values of x, if we get two different answers, then this kind of function can be considered as 1 function. Whereas here, if you put two different values of x, we'll get the same answer, right? So this kind of function can be considered as many to one function. So simple way, if I apply x1 and if I apply x2, then I must need different values of function. Whereas in many to one, if you apply x1 and x2, we'll get similar kind of equation. See, this is just a basic idea, right? There are some rules which we will going to study in chapter number 1, but some basic idea just for the basic understanding, just to keep this point in your mind, right? For two different values, if we get same answer, then that function can be known as many to one, and for two different values, if we get two answers, different answers, then it will be a 1 function. Also graphically, if you just check, if I plot the graph of x cube and if I want to plot a graph of x square, so if you plot any parallel line, any horizontal line parallel to x-axis, any horizontal line parallel to x-axis will intersect the graph of 1 function only at one point. Whereas in many to one, a graph of any parallel line to the x-axis will intersect the graph of a function in more than 1 points, right? So surely we can say that this is the graph of 1 function, whereas this is the graph of many to one function, right? And the third thing which we need to obtain is two onto function. So in general condition, we know that range, subset or equals to codomain. This is the general condition we know. But the function in which range equals to codomain, can be considered as an onto function, right? From the basic definition of a function, range must be subset or equals to codomain, whereas in onto function, range must be equals to codomain, right? So these are the three types of functions: 1, many to one, and onto functions, right? Now let's just talk about the meaning of inverse function, right? Right now I'm not going to talk related with the trigonometric function, right? I will going to talk just a basic idea of inverse function, right? So what is the meaning of inverse function? Right? So just be careful. Inverse function is the locus of point of the images of the points of the curve y equals fx with respect to line y equals x. It's a locus of point of the images of all the points on the curve y equals to fx with respect to line y equals x. So let us talk about two functions. Let's say fx equals x square and let's say gx equals root x. Okay, and if I want to plot the graph of these two functions only in the first quadrant, so we know that this is the graph of x square and this can be the graph of root x. Okay, and if I just plot the line y equals x, right? So whatever points we get on this graph, this is the graph of y equals root x, and this is the graph of y equals x square, and this is the line y equals x. So whatever points we'll get on this curve, those all points has image on this curve with respect to line y equals x, right? So first of all, I want to tell you a rule that if a point is AB, then AB has image BA with respect to line y equals x, right? You can obtain this property by yourself also, but right now just keep this point in your mind that if any point AB is there, any point AB is there, then its image with respect to the line y equals x is equals to what? BA. So let us take the example. If I take x equals 4 from in this point, in this curve, okay, if you put 4, then what will be the answer? The answer will be 2, right? For this particular curve, if you put x equals 4, the answer will be 2. So when you put x equals 2 in this, you will get answer as 4. So 4 2 has image what? 4 2 has image with respect to line AB is what? 2 4. And this 2 4 will be compulsory on the curve y equals x square. So randomly if you take any point from 0 to infinite on this curve, and if you find its image with respect to line y equals x, those all images will be on this curve y equals x square. So in other words, we can say that y equals root x has inverse equals to y equals x square, or vice versa, that y equals x square will be the inverse of y equals root x, right? So this is the simplest and the general definition of an inverse without any terms and condition, right? I am just talking about a simple definition. Then after there are some rules that we are going to discuss, but just for basic understanding that what is inverse. So in word of a statement, right, in terms of statement, inverse is the locus of point of images of all the points on the curve with respect to the line y equals x. Okay, so now let's talk about technically the definition of inverse, right? So for function f from a to b y equals fx is 1 1 and onto, then and only then there exists an inverse function defined on b to a as y equals f inverse x. Now you understand that why we discussed about 1 1 and onto condition before the starting of this chapter, right? Because in the definition of inverse, of having an inverse for any function, the function must be 1 1 and onto. Okay, the second thing you need to observe, that if function defined on a to b, we all know that if a function is defined from a to b, then a can be considered as domain and b can be considered as, now it's onto, so range and codomain are equal, right? So b can be considered as range. So just observe that for inverse I just interchange them, that now b will become domain and a will become range. And why it is so? Because we already studied that inverse is what? Inverse is a locus of point of image of all the points on the function fx. That means if we put 4 and 2, then in inverse function the point will be 2 and 4. So right now for fx equals x root x, 4 is the domain and 2 is the range, whereas its inverse f inverse x equals x square has 2 as domain and 4 as range, right? So that's why according to the definition, that if function is defined from a to b, its inverse will be defined from b to a. Okay, now trigonometric, right? So if we wanted to find out inverse of this sine, cos, tan, cot, sec and cosec, inverse of this 6 function, so what the first thing we need to obtain? The very first thing we need to find out is the domain where all the 6 function can be work as one function and onto function. Okay, so let's first talk about the sine function. We all know about the y equals sine x, the graph of sine x function. Just be careful, understand the whole graph. We all know that this is the kind of graph of sine x, right? Now we all know that sine is defined on r. That means from minus infinite to infinite, if you put any value of x from the domain r, we'll get all the answers, right? We'll get answer for every value. But as we discussed that inverse function can only exist if the function is 1 and onto, right? So now let's check some different intervals. If I talk about that this line is pi by 2 and this line is minus pi by 2, at minus pi by 2 answer is minus 1 and at pi by 2 answer has sine has answer 1. So just check this particular interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. You just check this interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So in this particular interval you can say that function is 1 1. Why? Because if you plot any horizontal line according to the graphical representation of 1 1 function, if you plot any parallel line to the x-axis, you find that every line will intersect this graph at a unique point, right? Similarly, from minus 1 to 1, as we know that range of sine is what? Minus 1 to 1. So from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 in this interval, we will get each and every value from minus 1 to 1. So we consider that in minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, sine can be considered as 1 1 and onto. Similar behavior you can find also in just like pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2. You find the similar kind of behavior. Just check. Right? The same behavior you find out also in between 3 pi by 2 to 5 pi by 2. The same behavior you will get on the left side also. That here if you will take minus 3 pi by 2. Right? So from minus 3 pi by 2 to minus pi by 2 will get the similar kind of behavior. So every such intervals in which function is 1 1 and onto will get the inverse. So if someone say that the inverse will be in minus pi by 2 pi by 2, I will say yes. If inverse can exist in pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, I will say yes. But as far as your textbook is concerned and our syllabus is concerned, they have decided some idealized intervals. Like in sine, for sine function, for getting an inverse, the ideal interval and the basic interval we have to focus is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 only. But you cannot deny with the statement that inverse can exist in pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2 also. Okay? You can say that 3 pi by 2 and in 5, from 3 pi by 2 to 5 by 2 inverse exists. Yes. But according to the syllabus and some ideal interval, the basic interval we have to always focus for this chapter is what? Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. For which function? For only sine function. Okay. Similarly for all six functions they have decided some standard intervals. Right? I'll just talk about cos and then we'll discuss the whole table, right? Let's talk about cos. So what is the graph of cos? We all know the graph of cos is something like this. Okay? Something like this. Now just observe from 0. Here is the point 0 and here is the point pi. So now just observe the graph in between 0 to pi. At 0 function has answer 1, at pi function has answer minus 1, right? So 0, this is the point 0 1 and here is the point pi and minus 1. So now in this 0 to pi interval you find that function will be 1 1 because any parallel line will intersect the graph in this particular interval, only in this interval at single point, and from range all the answers from minus 1 to 1 will get in this particular interval which is 0 to pi. Similarly, someone said that what if I talk about pi to 2 pi? So I don't have any issue with that. You find an inverse for cos in between pi to 2 pi also. But as I told you, there are some idealized, generalized interval. So according to that point, cos has basic interval 0 to pi. Okay. So now we'll discuss about a table in which we're going to decide that here if it is function, here if it is domain, and here if it is range, so sine, cos, tan, cot, sec, cosec. So let's talk about the table. So sine function has domain minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, where it is 1 1 and on 2, right? Similarly, cos will be from 0 to pi, tan minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, cot 0 to pi, sec 0 to pi minus pi by 2, cosec minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, minus 0. Here these two domains are defined on open interval, whereas all remaining four domains are defined on closed interval. I'll tell you the point again. These are the ideal domains which will follow in this whole chapter. That means in this domains, all these 6 functions, let's say sine is defined on minus pi by 2 pi by 2, cos on 0 to pi, tan on minus pi by 2 pi by 2 are 1 1 and on 2 individually, right? But not necessarily only on those domains. We already checked from the graph of sine that instead of minus pi by 2 pi by 2, pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2 is also the interval where sine is 1 1 and on 2. But we just have to focus on this. Similarly, if you talk about tan, so let me plot the graph of tan. We all know the graph of tan is something like this, minus pi by 2 line, pi by 2 line. Here something like this, minus 3 pi by 2 line and pi by 2 line. Similarly like this, here is the line pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2. Right? So just check. If I say minus pi by 2, here it is pi by 2, here it is 0, here it is minus 3 pi by 2. Right? Here it is plus 3 pi by 2. So just check the interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. You find that function is 1 1. Similar graph you find in minus 3 pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. And similar graph you find in pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2. So in this all intervals we consider sine, tan as 1 1 and on 2. But the function, the interval we have to keep in our mind is what? Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 only. Right? So similar kind of graphs and condition you can check for these 3 functions also. Now to talk about range. So in this interval sine has range minus 1 to 1. Just like sine, cos has minus 1 to 1. Tan and cot from the graph, just check. At minus pi by 2 it has minus infinite answer, constantly increasing, and then plus infinite. So the range will be what? R, which is minus infinite to infinite. Similarly cot has R, sec has R minus minus 1 to 1, because we know that sec is a reciprocal of cos, and cosec has range R minus minus 1 to 1. So if you now understand the domains and range related with the function, so now you easily understand the range and codomains related with the inverse. So if sine has domain minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 and range minus 1 to 1, so what about inverse? Inverse has what? The vice versa condition, right? Let me remind you, if function is defined from a to b, then f inverse will be defined from what? B to a. So now if I talk about function as sine inverse, cos inverse, tan inverse, cot inverse, sec inverse and cosec inverse, so that domains are what? Just to interchange them. That means sine inverse has domain minus 1 to 1, cos inverse has minus 1 to 1, tan inverse and cot inverse has r, minus 1 to 1 and minus 1 to 1. These are the domains if I say. So what about ranges? So just the domains of function will become range for inverse. That means minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. 0 to pi, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, 0 to pi, 0 to pi minus pi by 2, and minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, minus 0. Right? So hope you understand that why I just started with the basic idea of function, then we discussed about 1 1, then many to 1, then on to, and then the basic idea about the definition of inverse, just because to understand this table, right? If I direct